Welcome back to Maximum Lawyer Live. I'm Tyson Mutrux, and today I'm going to be talking about what you do versus how you do it. This is something that I posted about in Circle in the Association a couple weeks ago. It's just a really interesting observation, I guess. And so I had so many thoughts about this. This was something that um, from a mindset standpoint, from an employee standpoint, there are lots of different angles on this. I almost struggled writing the post because there were so many things that I wanted to talk about inside of it. So that's why I wanted to talk about this here, because I couldn't really talk about all of them. I had enough trouble trying to narrow down what I wanted to talk to. It could have been, I could have written forever on this, but this was what we were walking. I was actually going to go to the bathroom at Tron, is what it was. And by the way, at Disney World, we were at Disney World. Tron, the line is ridiculously long. So if you can get a fast pass, pay for the fast pass. It makes a lot of sense. But so we were walking up to the restrooms and past this massive line, and there's this, like, it was just interesting. Like, people were sort of in this circle, and they were stopping to look at something happening. I was like, what's going on? And they have all these cast members that go around the entire park, because we're Magic Kingdom, and what they do is they just clean up trash. That's all they do. That's their entire job, is cleaning up trash. And I'm looking, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? And it's really interesting because he has taken the end of his broom, and I'll put this on screen for people that are actually watching, but he is taken the end of his broom, and he is creating designs. So this is Mike. So those of you that are watching, this right here is Mike, and I took a picture with him. So I took a picture of me, Mike, and then Hudson. Hudson's there too. And what he is doing is he's drawing these really cool drawings. He has taken the end of his broom and gotten it wet, and he has made these designs. And this one, it's Mickey and Minnie, and he starts where you don't know what he's going to draw, and he's just dipping it in water. He's making these designs on the sidewalk, and in a few minutes they evaporate, and he'll come back and do another one. Really interesting thing. He's not paid to do this, right? He is not paid to create these designs. It's not a part of his job description. And I found this really fascinating. And I talked to him about it because I was very curious. And that's why I took a picture with him. I mean, he is the only cast member that I took a picture with. It's not, I don't think that's a really typical thing where you're going to take a picture with employees of a theme park. You're just typically going to do that. But he was smiling the entire time. He was so happy about his job, and he was playing with the kids. And he said that what Disney does is whatever their job is done, basically. And so let's say they're cleaning up stuff, and they've kind of covered their area, and there's nothing else going on. Disney has said, go make magic. That's it. And I think that freedom that they have given their cast members is really, really cool. There are many things with Disney that I think that they have gotten wrong. And this is one of those. It was one of those other things that was going. One of these other threads that was kind of going through my mind, because if you were ever at Disney 10 years ago, and you compare it to now, there's a massive difference. There's a massive decline in the experience. Yeah. And I do wonder how many people actually agree or disagree with that, but that's not the point of this. I can tell you from my experience with our kids 10 years ago versus today, night and day. night and day experience. That being said, I think Mike, because Mike has been there, he told me the number of years. It's a really long time. Mike's been there for a very long time. I think he might be one of those people that's a holdover from yesteryear, and that might be why he still has the spirit he does. I don't know. I can tell you from personal experience while we're there, not all of the cast members have that same mindset that Mike does. We're going to set that aside for now. I thought that the fact that Disney gave him that freedom to do that, that opportunity, the space, there were a lot of lessons in that. There were a lot of lessons. There might be very specific things that Disney tells him to do when it comes to his actual job. But, making the magic, I guess, partly is part of his job. But it kind of makes me think of Nordstrom. Nordstrom, since its origination, was known for customer service. And so at Mizzou, whenever, because my undergrad's in marketing, I think most people know that by now, but I like that was like one of the case studies, like the major case studies was always Nordstrom. And one of the great examples is that there was a lady that had come in and she had bought a tire from Nordstrom. I think that's the story. She had bought a tire from Nordstrom when at some point they had actually sold tires. And by the time that she came in, they were no longer selling tires. But what they did is they honored that return. And it was, who returns a tire, right? That's the point, is like they bent over backwards for that customer. And that's something that they do. They're very well known for. These days, not so much. You don't really hear about it, but historically, Nordstrom really known for customer service, and a big part of it was the freedom that was given to them by Nordstrom. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of up to a certain dollar amount they were able to refund or pay to do something for people. And it's one of those things where I like that so much that we implemented years ago, where up to a certain dollar amount, at first we didn't put a cap on it, and people started to go overboard a little bit. And so what we did is, I think we have a $50 cap, where if you want to spend $50 to do something for, and there's exceptions to this, by the way. This isn't like the general rules, spend about $50 or less on the person. But a very, very common one is, hey, such and such they've not been doing well. There's something rough going on in their life. Can I send them a gift? And a lot of times what the gift is they'll go and they've spoken to the client so much, they have a pretty good idea as to what they like. And, we'll send them some sort of gift could be from Amazon. It could be flowers. It could be lots of different things. But they do have that freedom to do that. But it really got me thinking, okay, what else can we do? What other kind of freedom can we give our employees and space to really go and make the experience better for our clients? And so that was one part of it, right? That was one part of it. One of the many things that was crossing through my mind. Another one, though, and this was from like I guess my own personal perspective on this, is that how do we find employees that really, really get it and they really enjoy their jobs? Because that's whenever I started to write that article, that's what it was about. It was what you do versus how you do it. His job was essentially glorified janitor. I'll just say it, right? That's, if you're really gonna break it down, that's pretty much. But that's not at all what Mike is. Mike is way more than that because of how he does it. And so, how do we find those people? And it made me think back to whenever I was at State Farm. They had this big seminar and was about ownership. And they brought in a big speaker to have that ownership mindset. And Mike really does take on that ownership mindset where he owns his position, he owns his job, and he really loves it. It was so clear that he loves his job. There were other people. This is one of those things where I saw Mike and had the experience with Mike, and then I started to pay more attention to other people like that. And not all of the people that work there that do the exact same job had that same mindset. They were just they were in the shadows almost. And maybe that's part of what they're taught to do. But none of them were making magic that I saw. None of them were. And so how do you find those people? And do we have an expectation? Should we have an expectation from the people that we hire to go out and make magic, right? Or do we have that? Should we have that expectation of them to kind of go above and beyond? And I do. And it's not that we're expecting extra work out of the person, because I kind of think I kind of do have that expectations where I think we have a really good track record of hiring those type of people, and I don't know how. I think Kristen just does a really amazing job, and Amy does a really amazing job at finding those people. But there is a difference between. There's a major difference between the two types: the ones that just come in and do their jobs, and the ones that will go above and beyond and really care. And maybe that's part of it. Is we're looking for peeps, so we're looking for passion for what we do, and that could be a big part of it. Is that we're looking for passionate people about personal injury law. And the people that we hire, that they generally do. Not all of them. Some people come from other industries, but they have a very keen interest when it comes to personal injury law. So that was another part of this. There's like I said, there's many things, but then it also got me thinking about myself when it comes to what do you do versus how you do it. And I'll be brutally honest with you. A couple of days ago, I just feel like I was in a rut. I was just coming off a long vacation, and then went straight into it. This year, it's already January 14th. So if you're listening to this, it's not January 14th. It's I think it's January 20th, if my math is right on the date. So you'll be listening to this on Saturday, but it's January, right? And I feel like this month has come on so freaking strong. It has been one of those ones where, holy hell, like it is. I mean, I'm talking about depositions. I'm supposed to have a trial next week. Luckily, that case resolved. So, but I feel like I was just kind of in a rut. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like exhausted. We're renovating a bathroom. So just all this stuff. My house is a freaking wreck because of the renovation. Because like the master bedroom, like you got to go through the master bath to get to the closet, and just it's one of those things where like I was like, golly, I felt like I was in this rut. Then I was like, you know what? It made me think like, no, that this is what we get paid to do. Like this is why people hire us, right? They hire us for times like this. And it was like an instant flip of a switch. It was just a simple, just telling myself, hey, this is what you want. This is exactly what you want. You want these types of situations. And it's all just a mindset thing. And I think a lot of what this post was about was mindset. The what you do versus how you do it. It's really where you put your mind. And I'm not the only one. I know that if you're listening to this or you're watching this, that you have these times where, you're sort of in this rut or things are kind of tough and you just have to sort of buckle down, say, you know what? This is why we get paid the big bucks. And obviously, if it's something super serious or and you're down, I would encourage you to reach out to somebody. But I'm not really talking about those situations. I'm talking about more of the situations where, just kind of in this, you've had a really rough week or a really busy week, or maybe some late nights and some early mornings, or maybe you've got some, maybe you had a newborn at home, and all these different things. It could be a lot of different things where life is just sort of catching up with you. But I think you just kind of have to remind yourself, hey, this is why I'm here. I've got the freedom. I've got the time. So part of the law from ownership is like I had these amazing times. It's a mix of emotions, and it's a mix. It's kind of like a roller coaster at times where you've got these times. You've got the freedom to do the things you want to do. But part of the trade off is that you've got the times where the beginning of the year can be sort of rough because you just spent a week away or 8 days away, and you're having to spend some time catching up a little bit, or maybe you um, shouldn't have scheduled so many things at the beginning of the year. You, that happens. That's part of the trade-offs of law firm ownership, and I wouldn't trade it at all. Not for $1 million, not at all. Because you make a lot more than $1 million. It's one of those things where, but it's not, to me. It's not about that. It's the freedom to be able to. I can leave whenever the heck I want. I can come back whenever the heck I want. I can work whatever hours I want, and so these are some of the trade-offs, right? It's part of the trade-offs, but it's a lot of it comes down to mindset and just telling yourself, listen, this is why I chose what I chose. This is why I'm running the law firm that I'm running. So there's a lot to it, but I really wanted to talk about Mike, and because he was creating art. It was interesting just when you kind of lift your eyes up away from the phone and what you sort of will notice. It's kind of a cool little thing. Um, but if I come back to that, because I want to come back, kind of do a circle. Um, the rest of what I want to talk about when it comes to that is if you kind of want to be able to pass it on to your people, right? And you might have that mindset, but like you can teach this mindset. This isn't something that you're born with or you're not born with. This is something you can teach as well. And I think we do tend to sell a lie a little bit. And I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about the industry in general, where, you know, if maybe things will get better when your title improves, or, things will get better whenever you get a pay raise. And I think I think focusing too much on those types of things does a massive disservice to your people, and it does a massive disservice to you and your firm. I think the more important thing is to be focusing more on, okay, how are you doing things, the enjoyment of the work, because ultimately that's what, if you look back, 20 years from now, those are the things that you're going to remember the most. Those are the things that they're going to remember the most is the enjoyment from the work, or the lack of enjoyment from the work. It really depends on how you approach it. So if you can pass it on to your people about enjoying the work that you do, even in the tough times, you have to kind of be able to step away a little bit and laugh a little bit at what's at the situation. We all have those situations. We all have a crazy client or two, right? And you have to be able to laugh at it. You got to be able to laugh at it a little bit and approach those situations. Not just there are definitely serious situations that come up, but once that emotion passes, you got to be able to step back a little bit, and you got to laugh at it. But I guess the main thing I just want to pass on about the mindset's it's a decision. It really is. It's something that you can choose to do. As when I was talking about that light switch moment where I was like, what, this is what I'm here for, right? This is what I was put here on this planet to do. Once you just change your mind on it, it's just a simple thing, and everything else becomes much easier. Once you just if you sort of identify that moment, all you have to do is recognize it, and then one of the key tricks that I've learned is just labeling it. So, hey, you're really in a funk. You're just really in a funk. You need to snap out of it. Once you label it, that's your indicator. Hey, let's flip that switch. Let's flip that switch. because you can easily change your mind. It's not always easy, but usually it's a pretty easy thing. It's your decision what mindset you want to be in. You don't have to be in that funk. You don't have to stay in that funk. Everyone gets in a funk, but you don't have to stay there. You can change your mind whenever you want. So, I guess, and then the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to this is culture, because if we kind of go back to Mike and the culture of Disney, because like you can't force someone to care. Like if you just look at it like an individual team member, like you can't force them to care. But what you can do is you can create this environment. Let's talk about space and everything. You can create this environment that allows the people that do have the right mindset to thrive. So it's not really about like from your standpoint, like you can control what you can control. Like you can't control any specific person, one person. But what you can control is the environment that you create for your team members. And I think that's something that you can really focus on. Okay, what are the things that we're micromanaging? Where can we step back a little bit and let them have that creative freedom? Where are the areas where we can give them the freedom to better take care of our clients? That's another thing too. And so like really be thinking about different areas of your firms that you can step back from a little bit and give your team a little bit more freedom so they can have that space to create that magic. So the culture is within your control. Your mindset is within your control. So control those things, control the things you can control. And I think that you'll be far, far better off for it. All right, that is all we have for this week. Remember to check out Becca's List, beccaslist.co, where you can rate vendors. And that way we have that collective knowledge for all of us to help find the best people that we need to help take care of our firms. Also, just keep an eye out in the next few months for the next release of tickets for Max Law Con. Max Law Con 2026 is going to be in Atlanta. So just over the next few months, keep your eye out. And then go to maximumlawyer.com for tickets to our Phoenix Mastermind that's coming up in February. So make sure you get those tickets. Those are on sale. So go out and get those. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy your weekend if you're listening to this on the weekend. Have a great week if you are watching this live. We'll see you. Bye.